Hello! Legendary mixed martial arts champion Case Walker is going through a tough time in his life. His parents are dead, and there is virtually no money to be made in fights. Opponents refuse to step into the ring against the unstoppable fighter, who after another brilliant victory is abandoned by his coach as well. During this difficult time, Case meets his longtime friend James Brody, who has recently signed a contract with PFC, a mixed martial arts fighting organization with virtually no rules. For the sake of $2 million, Brody is about to step into the ring against the psychopath Cesar Braga and convinces his old friend to prepare him for the fight. Overcome by doubts, Case agrees to the affair, and the friends head for Bangkok. There, the doubts start to settle in the mind of James, who has witnessed the rampage that the 2-meter-tall Cesar, with whom he will have to enter the ring without any rules, caused at a press conference. Will Brody have to spend $2 million to put himself together piece by piece after the fight? Or will the athlete and his coach witness a happy ending? In the ring at Beaumont is the legendary mixed martial arts champion Case Walker. The fighter deftly dodges at close range, preventing the poor Aroni Shelton from landing even a single punch. The crowd in the gym is ecstatic, and to the thunderous roar from the stands, Shelton finds himself on the floor for the second time. At halftime, Walker's trainer orders his ward to continue the fight for 2 more rounds, but despite these instructions, the fighter, after the bell rings, enters the ring and wins by technical knockout. After another spectacular victory, Walker loses his coach. The man refuses to work with the beast that mercilessly defeats every opponent, which is why very few people agree to go up against him in the ring. Case goes to the locker room while other athletes come out to fight. One of them is accompanied by Case's old friend James Brody. Both are delighted by the unexpected encounter. The longtime friends agree to see each other later to talk. Walker shows up at the party where he finds a tipsy James in the company of beautiful women who are hitting on him from all sides, except for one, an attractive girl named Micah Cruz, who is Brody's agent and tactfully evades his advances. Case reprimands his married friend for this licentious behavior, and they go out to have a couple of drinks and a private conversation. James reveals that for the sake of making more money, he has signed a contract with PFC, an organization that Case himself considers a freak show. However, Brody says he has promised $2 million for his next fight in Thailand in 6 weeks. However, he'll be fighting a violent psychopath named Cesar Braga, and he's counting on Case, who could really use the money right now, to help him get ready for the fight. The legendary champion declines the idea, but Brody promises to come back to this talk later. As he prepares to leave, Case meets Micah again and notices that the girl is sympathetic to him, but the man nonetheless hurries to leave the unfamiliar surroundings. Walker returns to his motorhome and is about to drive off when suddenly he notices 2 suspicious thugs who, having received instructions over the phone, are hurrying to the party. Suspecting that something is wrong, Case goes after them and his hunch turns out to be correct. He now must save the lustful James from a filthy setup. In the morning, Case wakes up in James's living room. Once again, his friend presses him to go with him to Thailand. Knowing that Case has been on a downward spiral since the death of both of his parents, Brody offers him a favorable deal.
There'll be people over there that can make a difference in your life. I'll pay you to train with me.
Under the pressure of the old friend, confident in his abilities, Case agrees to the deal. He arrives in Bangkok and checks into his hotel room, while Brody himself is already at the press conference for the upcoming title fight, hosted by the enterprising Hugo Vega. Along with James, his opponent Cesar Braga is also attending the meeting with reporters. One bold reporter asks Hugo provocative questions about doping and, after receiving an evasive answer, turns to the short-tempered Braga.
Can you give us an update on the assault and battery charges filed on behalf of your ex-wife?
This provocation instantly throws Cesar off balance, and he violently knocks over his table before the eyes of a stunned James. After the guards escort the rampaging bully out of the hall, he starts smashing up the bathroom. Later, Case shows up at the gym where James will be training for his upcoming fight. There, he is given an unfriendly welcome by trainer Matty Ramos, who is clearly unhappy with the arrival of another trainer and gives Walker a disdainful look. This doesn't stop the champion from starting to prepare training equipment for Brody. Case goes to the abandoned back alleys, where he collects planks, tires, ropes, discarded bottles, and bags of gravel. In an empty corner of the gym, Case sets up his training area, which is accompanied by oblique glances and taunts from other athletes. The legendary fighter coldly ignores them, stubbornly honing his martial arts techniques. At this time, James seriously fears for his life after what he saw at the press conference. He anxiously revisits the footage of the psychopathic Cesar's fights, which does not escape the attention of his agent Micah. But James does not confess his doubts to her and soon shows up at the gym in high spirits. There, he immediately has to resolve a conflict between Maddie and Case, whose presence irritates not only the other coach, but also the athletes, one of whom, the smug Cobra, insists on sparring with him. Walker calmly accepts the challenge, and the audience gathers around the ring. Micah shows up there too, interested in what's going on. The upstart Cobra, confident in his victory, flaunts himself in front of Walker and decisively starts the fight. Case dodges the first few punches, and then allows his opponent to get closer and shows a confident defense. After which, he himself goes on the attack, crushing the already exhausted Cobra with a couple of honed moves. Moments later, Cobra falls unconscious in front of a stunned audience, and Maddie's trainer has to send him to the hospital in an ambulance. Soon, because of the situation, Hugo Vega shows up at the gym. The man has come to personally find out who injured his fighter, and everyone present silently turns their gaze to Walker, with whom Vega has a long-standing grudge over a broken contract. Surprised by his presence and aware of the champion's illustrious career, Vega immediately offers him a spot in the undercard of his upcoming fight, which Case firmly refuses, and Hugo must leave with nothing. During James's regular training session, journalists show up at the gym. Among them is the cocky Mr. Conrad, who pissed off Caesar at the press conference. The impertinent reporter once again asks his provocative questions about doping. It turns out that Brody's mentee, who was fighting at the ring in Beaumont, has been fined and convicted. With an awkward smile on his face, the athlete refuses to comment on the matter, and the reporters turn their attention to Walker, who also attracts the attention of Micah. The girl waits for him after practice. The girl tries to show him her sympathy, but Case takes her attention coldly as she is working for Vega. Micah nevertheless manages to soften his mood, and they agree to go out to lunch together. Shy with women, Walker prepares thoroughly for the date. After putting on a costume, he goes to buy a bouquet of flowers, where Micah unexpectedly catches him. The girl takes Case to her favorite place. Coincidentally, another group is dining at the same place: Hugo Vega, James Brody, and Coach Maddie. While the company discusses what's going wrong in their business, Case and Micah are having a nice chat with each other. Micah openly talks about her daughter and her first failed marriage, while trying to get information out of Walker that Case has been carefully concealing from everyone. The story of how he ended up in prison. Angered by this sudden course of conversation, Case ditches Micah and leaves, believing the date to be a mistake. At Hugo and Brody's table, a different matter is being discussed. Time is running out before the fight, and James is still out of shape. For the sake of a spectacular fight, Vega insists on using doping, giving the trainer the appropriate contacts. He skillfully allays James's fears with the promise of a fabulous fee. When the meeting is over, the sly Maddie immediately adds fuel to the fire and tells Brody about Case and Micah's date, who the athlete himself has been unsuccessfully trying to win over for years. At the next training session, an enraged James challenges his mentor to a fight. Mad with jealousy, he pounces on Case and mercilessly strikes him with blow after blow under Coach Maddie's direction. The fight turns into a spectacular brawl for everybody around them, and the always cold-blooded Walker loses his temper this time. He ends the fight ruthlessly, which he immediately regrets.
Bro, sorry, man.
Vega's assistant informs him that James's rib is broken. Upon learning that a second fighter has been injured by Walker, Hugo orders his subordinate to obtain all possible information about the champion, who at this time is trying to reconcile with Brody and catches him with a pack of pills in his hands. After a quarrel, the friends go out to dinner together and discuss the upcoming fight. Here, for the first time, James is honest about his fears for his own life and his worries about his family should the worst happen. The partners come to a mutual understanding and discuss a plan for further action. Married Brody also apologizes for the jealousy and recommends that his friend pay more attention to Micah. Having resolved the conflict, James reconciles his feuding coaches as well and responsibly follows the instructions from each of them in grueling training sessions. In a short period of time, Brody makes stunning progress and is in great physical shape. Nevertheless, Case insists that the athlete get insurance that will provide a hefty payout to his family should there be an accident. The conversation occurs as James is taking a doping test and reveals his worries that he might not pass.
Whatever you might have taken before you came to Thailand won't still be in your system.
United by working together, Micah and Cass's relationship is getting better, and the fighter once again asks the girl out on a date. This time, the couple spends a very nice time together, and there is clearly a romantic attraction between them. The next morning, Hugo's assistant suddenly appears on Walker's doorstep and unexpectedly offers him a contract to fight in the PFC. Case carefully examines the document and hands it to Hugo with his own amendments, infuriating him. However, he still has nothing to retaliate with, since his assistant has failed to get provocative information on Case. Soon Vega's problem resolves itself. A video surfaces on the internet, with Case taking out the cops who set up the frame-up that landed Walker in jail. Realizing that this is great bait to attract viewers to a sensational fight, The enterprising Hugo decides to remove James from the fight and replace him with Walker. The day after the clip is published, Case starts being chased by reporters, who Micah manages to drive away. Later, the girl brings the protagonist to a luxurious house, which, as it turns out, Vega has rented for him. Walker is suspicious of what has happened, as well as the fact that a Russian Sambo wrestler suddenly shows up at James's training sessions, joining the athlete's training a week before the fight.
What's a Russian Sambo specialist doing in Bangkok? And he just happens to come to this gym? Come on, man, something doesn't fit.
In confirmation of his suspicions, James immediately suffers an accident while training with the Samboist. At the hospital, it's clear from Brody's condition that he will not be able to fight. Not only will the athlete leave Thailand without a fee, but he also confesses to Case that his treatment and recovery will not be paid for by insurance, as he was taking steroids at Vega's instructions. However, the now cooperating coaches reveal the truth. They've replaced his doping with regular vitamins, and James has been restoring his physical condition during the workouts by himself. Believing that the fight will not take place because of Brody's injury, Case is packing up to go home when Vega shows up at his house, accompanied by Micah. Determined to receive a big payout from a spectacular fight, Hugo offers him a $1 million contract to be paid in 2 even installments before and after the fight, which is entirely in line with the adjustments that the champion himself asked from Hugo's previous offer. The new fighter is greeted in the gym not with silent disdain as on the first day, but with thunderous applause. Under the guidance of Maddie and James, Case begins training intensely. He now lives in a rented house with his beloved Micah. The girl concludes that replacing the fighter has raised the ratings of the upcoming show considerably and has turned out to be a benefit for Vega. These words make Case suspect Hugo of intentionally replacing the contestant. After getting the Russian Sambo wrestler's phone number for his next training session, Walker realizes that his hunch is correct, and everything that has happened has been a well-orchestrated setup, thanks to which Vega will make a lot of money. Despite the now revealed truth, Case continues to train and intends to go into the ring, all the while figuring out how to disrupt the greedy scoundrel's plan. The day of the fight arrives. Hugo Vega is excitedly counting his upcoming profits, while Case Walker still has no solution to the problem. In the locker room before training, he focuses on finding an answer, and his old friend James Brody suddenly suggests it to him.
You're as stubborn as my wife.
When Case hears these words, he immediately goes looking for the psychopath Caesar to ask him a question. The fighter manages to catch up with his opponent before he enters the ring. Using this opportunity, Case taunts the unstable thug with a question about his ex-wife. The provocation instantly throws Caesar off balance again. He immediately lunges at Walker, intent on destroying him. The enraged big man beats Case mercilessly and, locking him in a melee, unexpectedly punches the man in the groin, afterward knocking him to the ground with a series of powerful blows. But even after such a beat-up, the legendary martial artist rises again. Fully focused, he meets the psychopath's next attack with a precise blow and breaks his ribs, after which he confidently finishes off the day's Caesar. Case is immediately pounced upon by Vega, who now will not get a huge fortune and must cover the cost of the failed fight. Plus, his defeated fighter will not return to the ring anytime soon. Case himself has already received $500,000 from Hugo and obliges the man to pay another $1 million to James, so that the truth about the real reason for his disqualification is not revealed. As always, you'll find the name of the movie in the description of the video. Meanwhile, let us know in the comments, what was your guess as to how Case will solve the problem with Hugo? And don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel so that more awesome retellings come out as often as possible.